I've got a guest in the studio, James Woods, and I've also been joined by another sporting commentator as well as Sports Academy CEO, Obi Ananabi. How are you doing, Obi?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Now, this is the best time because we're looking at African stories and African headlines that have hit us in the last 7 days, and we're starting with the biggest story coming out of South Africa, being the biggest football club competition on the African continent, just won by the Mamelodi Sundowns from South Africa. Won it against Zamalek of Egypt, 3-1 in aggregate, and the South Africans were received very well going back home. They had like a stand at the airport with thousands of fans coming to receive their heroes. This is the second South African team to have won the Continental Club Football Cup in at least 20 years, I think about 21 years, and the first time they've done so since 1995. So the Sundowns are going to be representing South Africa and representing Africa in the World Club competition. Now, James, you follow the South African Football League very closely. How do you think this win for the Sundowns are going to be received or are being received in South Africa, and how does it affect the South African League that has been very well perceived across the continent over the last at least 10 decades? 10 years.
South Africa, the South African Football League is a wonderful league in Africa. Unfortunately, with the national team, we've also seen them suffer a bit, but they have a great league. The last time a South African club won the the African Champions League was in 1995, and that was by Orlando Pirates.
Yep.
So what Mamelodi Sundowns have done right now, they've brought the mood up back into South Africa. People are super excited following from hosting the World Cup to having this. It's great for South African football. It's showcasing that Southern Africa does have strong teams. I'm from Southern Africa myself. So to see Mamelodi Sundowns win, I think it'll do tremendous stuff for the league. It would do tremendous stuff for the players. Younger players who have a bigger dream that they can achieve even more than what they have right now.
Yeah, Obi, growing up in Nigeria, Zamalek of Egypt were still a massive football club coming out of Egypt. How do you think they would see this loss? Is it going to be, yes, even though we're still a big club, we need to build better next season? Because it's been a while since they got into the Champions League finals.
Absolutely. It's a huge loss for them. It's a loss they won't take lightly. Absolutely. But the game was a fantastic game. I mean, you wouldn't feel bad if you lose against Sundowns. They did all they can, and they played very well, but unfortunately at the end of the day they came short. So at the end of the day it's a big competition, so they have nothing to worry about.
Absolutely. Now, speaking about if you lose against the Sundowns, you shouldn't feel that badly. Unfortunately, based on the news coming out of Egypt, Zamalek, especially the board members of Zamalek Football Club, they've decided to release some news out of there claiming that Black Magic was responsible for them losing the final against the Sundowns. They claimed that the Zamalek football players had 18 clear chances against Sundowns to take the lead or even score more goals, but for some funny reasons, the players couldn't take the chances. Now, James, I come to you. How important is Black Magic to African football?
Well, before we go to African football, I think Man United should be worrying about Black Magic as well against Burnley with the chances they missed. I think within Africa, there's still that mentality of Black Magic, but this is all a psychological aspect of it. I think it gives players hope that they can do better. But personally, I grew up in Africa. We've played football. That stuff doesn't work. But sadly enough, there's a big following of it. And for Zamalek, their chairperson, Mansour, to their board member, Hadi Zadi, to come out and say that this is Black Magic, this is being sore losers, not trying to accept that on the day they didn't take their chances. Mamelodi Sundowns took their chances. I think you have to accept football. You win, you lose. In the final, there can only be one winner.
Absolutely.
So I think it just wasn't their day. And I think for what they said, particularly the board member, Hadi Zadi, where he goes on and he says that he has witnessed Black Magic firsthand. He has seen it. If he can bring evidence that this stuff works, I think it'll be great.
Obi, obviously you also grew up in Nigeria, where it's been reported heavily that Black Magic could influence the results of a football match. Do you see any sense in what Adi Zadi was saying for Zamalek?
No, not at all. I grew up there. I played a little bit as well. So it's just a way of motivating you. If they said, oh, this will help you in your game, then it's in your mind. They put it in your mind, then you can perform well. But if you lose a game, you don't go that black man. It doesn't work. It's a myth. It doesn't work. So they should just take it on the chin and forget about it.
Absolutely, taking it on the chin.
I think what he's also raised over this here in the UK, where you look at Premier League games, where if a striker scores with a certain pair of boots, he may not change those boots. He may wear them until he stops scoring.
Absolutely.
So do we call that
superstition?
So it's just all superstition stuff, which doesn't really work, but it just motivates you.
I see the likes of Sturridge. He never walks onto the pitch like he runs onto the. He turns his back and then walks onto the pitch with his back turned to the pitch.
Let's hope they don't have a friendly with Zamalek.
Now let's go to the next news coming out of Africa. Algeria has appointed a new coach in the last 24 hours, appointing Georges Lekens for a second time as the Algerian national team coach. He was once appointed in 2003, but lost his job 3 months after that. This time, he's decided to come back after being sacked as a league manager in Belgium, where he's been for quite some time, and there's only been appointed 10 days before their big match against the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, against the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But the funny thing is, even though Nigeria has had their coach over the last couple of months or something like that, it doesn't really make a difference if a brand new coach has been appointed for Algeria, because the team itself, the Nigerian football team itself, there's been all sorts of criticisms, with the captain, Obi Mikel, coming out to say Nigeria can only qualify for the World Cup in 2018 if the Nigerian Football Federation get their acts together and plan and prepare properly for the players before every single match. He said he would not like to experience what he experienced during the Olympics, where he landed in Brazil a couple of hours before the first match and still managed to find their way to the bronze medal during the Olympics. Now let's go to Algeria first before we talk Nigeria. Appointing a brand new coach 10 days before a very vital World Cup qualifier. What are your thoughts on that?
I think number one, Algeria should be one of the best teams on the African continent. If I'm not mistaken, they're ranked number 3 in Africa.
Yep.
So great team, big game against Nigeria coming up. It's going to be the same squad that has already been selected. They've got outstanding players in the Premier League, in the French League. They've got really good players. So I think bringing in a manager at this time, I don't think it will really change much so far, because I think he's just going to inherit the team. It's just about whether he can motivate them or not, in my opinion. But the question is, why have they brought in this manager? This manager has already managed Algeria. But beyond already managing Algeria, his club resume, he's just been fired 2 days before being appointed as Algerian manager. Was fired from Lokeren, the Belgian league. He was managing them for 12 games, lost 8 of those games. So for Algeria, you want a manager that you know can come in and deliver. So this manager, it's coming in at a time when I don't really know if he'll be the ideal fit for them. But as I said, he is inheriting quite a good team. But the challenges he faces is going to be for the World Cup qualifier, and also beyond that, Africa Cup of Nations, where they're also seen as the favourites to lift the trophy. So whether he can motivate the players enough, time will tell. Well, he's got a huge amount of talent to handle. I think more than half of the football players playing in the national team of Algeria, born and raised in France, could have been playing for France and decided to play for Algeria. So he still has a lot of talent to handle there. Now, Obi, let me go to you. John Obi Mikel has come out heavily to say the Nigerian Football Federation need to prepare better before the team can be guaranteed better performances qualifying for the World Cups in 2018. What are your thoughts on what Obi Mikel is saying, especially going through his experiences during the Olympics? Absolutely, I agree with him. The Olympics was a shamble. I mean, they weren't prepared very well, and the boys were treating very, very, very bad. So going forward, I think they should prepare very well. If I listen to Obi Mikel, what he says, and do exactly what he said, because for the boys to perform very well, you need to
put them in a place where they should be rest assured that they will go to deliver for you.
You know, their hotels will be taken care of, their finances taken
Absolutely.
care of, and they don't have to be worrying about their wages being paid. You played, you know, a little bit. What are your thoughts about, you know, how does that affect players in terms of not knowing if your wages are being paid, not knowing if your bonuses are being met, your hotel accommodation isn't comfortable enough? Tell us about that.
I think what we need to remember is that it's different from the English national team, where the players playing for England are on ridiculous wages in the Premier League.
Yeah.
That if you say England didn't give them any finances, I don't think really affect them that much.
Yeah.
But we look at the Nigerian or other African football clubs where you have some local players in the squad who aren't earning their wages.
Yeah.
For that, they live off those wages or get from the national team. So for a player like Obi Mikel, if Nigeria doesn't pay him, I don't really think it will affect him. But he's a senior player in the squad. So he's taking the responsibilities for all the other players. And this is a guy who's had a great career. He could keep quiet and not even talk about this and just say that, leave it. But it affects the players in the sense that, number one, you want to be valued. It's like turning up to a job and they don't give you a salary.
Yep.
When they pay you, you know that they value your time there.
Yeah.
Take care of your hotel, your food, you're sleeping in a good place, you're traveling on time, so you're not tired, because football is an exhausting sport.
Yeah.
You have to be at your top level every single game. So for these guys who went to the Olympics, for instance, the Nigerian squad, arriving a couple hours before their game, that would affect the players' mentality.
Absolutely.
Their physique wouldn't be in top condition. So I think what they need to do is really focus on motivating the players, and Nigeria has the money to do this.
They do. In the bank.
But that's also for a lot of other African countries as well.
Yeah.
They need to take that on hand and say that if we're really going to develop our football on the continent, let's start valuing those players as well, the staff, the players, and work together. Speaking
about valuing the players on the African continent, the news coming out of Gabon, who are hosting the Africa Cup of Nations 2017, is that the Football League, the players have now announced or threatened to go on strike, having gone months without pays. In some cases, the Gabonese Football League have seen players that have gone for the last 2 years without being paid for their football services. Some of them are earning around $400 a month, but I haven't seen a penny of that figure in the last 12 months. Now, Gabon is hosting the Africa Cup of Nations. How bad is this in terms of publicity for the competition?
Publicity for the competition, number one, it's bad for Gabon as a country. Gabon is an oil-rich country, one of the highest GDPs in Africa. So that, number one, would affect the perception of a nation. But for players, beyond everything else, for the players to have gone for 2 years without earning any money, that is just against, I think, any way of ethics or morals, that these players aren't being valued once again. And so you look at these individuals, they're not even that united. Only a few players have come together, not all of them. The reason for that is that even some of them are afraid that if they do this, they may even lose their jobs, so there's no protection around their contracts. So it is extremely worrying.
Obi, you deal with a lot of football players around the world. First of all, what are your thoughts about international football bodies like the likes of FIFA taking a closer look at the way footballers are being treated on the African continent? Is it about time for them to say, listen, there needs to be a task force making sure that the leagues and clubs honor the contracts to these football players?
Yes, you're right. I think it's about time they look into how African are managing the contracts and the players. They are being treated very badly. A player can go 2-3 months, as you said, without wages. It happens a lot, mostly in Nigeria as well. And they have no choice. They can't quit. In fact, a player would go, after the end of the month, you go home and borrow money from his siblings instead of getting money from the club. They are not honoring the contract. It's not well looked at. I think FIFA should come now and do what is right and to protect the players.
But also just adding to what he's saying, I know from my experiences in Malawi, was that some of the football players would only get paid if they played a game. So if they're out injured, if they're not playing, they're not earning an income. So some players would have an ankle problem, but will go bandage it up and try and play the game so that they can get paid. So, you know, this now long-term wise, you'll find that their body is taking a battering. They won't be able to have a long career. And so I think FIFA really needs to look into supporting a lot of these nations. And I think there also needs to be a lot of money going into grassroots football within our continent.
Speaking about grassroots football, Obi, you run Obi Aba Football Academy. tell us a little bit about what you do in terms of your academy and in terms of African football and getting players to come internationally and find, you know, greener grass to play. Let's say that.
Absolutely. Every African footballer
Yeah.
who is playing in Africa wants to play in Europe. This is where the limelight is, that's where the money is, so that's what they do. So people like us wants to give young African talents the opportunity we never had,
Yeah.
you know, to play here, because we dream to play professional football, but we don't. But if you're good enough to play, then we find you wherever you are. So what I do every year is I have scouts and agents who I partner with from Europe, Finland, Sweden, some Asian as well. I take them to Nigeria, Ghana sometimes. Then we organize football tournaments, and they pick out the ones they feel is good. So because those scouts are well qualified, some clubs trust them, because it's difficult for the club here to tell them, oh, I have a player in Nigeria or in Africa who they haven't seen. They won't invite them.
Yeah.
So they trust these scouts to go and make to tell them this is
a
good player, and that's what we do. So we organize a tournament. We're doing one next month.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, we're doing in Lagos, Kanu, and Aba, also Umuahia. So whoever they pick out, they will organize, and then we get them a visa, and they go to
How
play in
do
Europe.
people get involved? Is there a website that people can go to pick up forms, or how do these players get noticed and come to these competitions?
We have a Facebook page,
Yeah.
Obiaba Football Academy. That's a Facebook page, and a website as well, obiabafootballacademy.com. We post things on that, the dates, the times. We put on radio sometimes.
That's good.
Or the last 7 years I've been doing on my own, self-finance. But now I'm trying to get the government involved. So this one we're doing, the Commissioner for Sports in Abia State will be the guest of honor, and the government is practically involved, because it's a very good way to empower the youths.
Yeah.
And also to put us in the map as well, because if a player comes from a small town in Aba or in Umuahia or in Lagos and he's playing for a club, let's say in Sweden, they will mention he's come from this little town so that
increases the interest and
does.
also allows the scouts to trust football players coming from those areas in the future.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's fantastic. So that's next month, is it?
Yeah, we do once every year, but it's coming on. The scout will come in on the 29th of November. So maybe 2 days later we start the tournament. You know, so and they choose whoever they think is good for European market.
All right, I'm sure James has long lost his footballing skills. But
I'll find myself there with my football boots.
So if you want information, you know anybody that has the potentials to try out for OB, it's simple, Obiaba Football Academy. Check them out on Facebook, and check the website out to get more information. Send your family members there. You never know. Could be playing for Manchester United someday. We need better players, definitely, that's for sure. Anyway, let's take a quick break now. When we come back, we look at European football, especially the entire Barcelona squad walking away from the La Liga awards. And before that, we've got some highlights coming from the game against Liverpool, Crystal Palace, and Liverpool. Do you know what? Let's take a look at that and see what the feelings like in Crystal Palace at the moment. Crystal Palace seem to believe that they can defeat Liverpool, because they have scuppered Liverpool's chances of winning the Premier League in the past. So we'll be trying to get some more clips, especially their fans' thoughts on what the match is going to be like today. But let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a look at that and a lot more. See you in a few.
Now this game, we think is going to be a very good game, because Liverpool is flying high in the table right now. They're 20 points, while Crystal Palace is 11 points. And I believe that the game today is going to be a very, very good game. Now on the Crystal Palace team sheet, we have all the usual suspects. All the key players are playing today. And Liverpool as well have no injuries, so we think it's going to be a fantastic match. Now the kickoff for the game today is 5:30, so I would say watch this space as we about to go inside and see what the game is going to hold.
Ife Akidayomi, checking out the Crystal Palace-Liverpool match. Yes, the match has kicked off now, and we'll be getting more information coming in. Well, Liverpool are definitely flying high in the Premier League at the moment. Have had arguably one of the best times in the Premier League since it started in the last 4 or 5 years. They look more strong and kind of, I think the manager, Klopp, has inspired the team. The way of playing is also caught the attention of the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson, who claims Liverpool are in a better position to win the league this year than they've been in the last 10 or 15 years. That says a lot about the players that they've got, says a lot about the coach that they have. However, Crystal Palace have some players that have a point to prove. The likes of Benteke was actually sold by Liverpool this season to Crystal Palace, so perhaps he wants to send a message, if not to the fans, but to the Liverpool coach that, hey, I can still score some goals. So we hope to see some fiery results today coming in from Crystal Palace. Again, let's take a quick break, then we go back into the European football stories and have a chat about Barcelona specifically, because I know that one James will definitely want to talk about that one. I don't know what your thoughts are about Barcelona, but the entire squad boycotting the award ceremony, it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be very interesting.
All right, let's take a breather, or shall we say, let's even go into it then, because some of the social media comments that I've seen, you can call us on 0208-808-0693. Any thoughts on the football, any thoughts on anything you'd like to talk about, especially the Barcelona players boycotting the entire La Liga awards. Let's talk about it.
Yep.
The coach wasn't nominated for the award for the best manager of the season, and I think about 5 or 6 managers were nominated for the award, and the manager that won the La Liga was omitted. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think it's personal?
The rumors that have come out from this is that these awards were to appease the Madrid clubs. So Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid are the rumors coming out. But Diego Simeone, the manager of Atletico Madrid,
yes,
he won the Manager of the Year.
It's very difficult to argue against that, though, based on the performances that they put together in the last 24 months.
I think the one thing that people tend to forget as well is, as a manager, you look at a team like Barcelona, this is a team you expect to win. They have world-class players in almost every single position.
And a lot of money.
A lot of money. They can buy whoever they want. So you look at Atletico Madrid, they don't have not the same resources as Barcelona, but yes, they do have a bit of money. But they're building a team with less of a budget and motivating the players a lot more, and also trying to keep hold of those players is a lot tougher.
Yeah.
If you have star players, you already know that the bigger clubs are sniffing in to try and grab those players. So Diego Simeone, I think, has done great. In terms of Barcelona boycotting it, I think as a professional club, this should not happen in modern day football. I think if your manager has been nominated, take it on the chin, accept it, attend the awards. This sends a message to football. We talk about football being a sport that unites people. That brings
people together.
And for this sort of action, I don't think that was a great move by Barcelona.
Again, Lionel Messi has won the La Liga Player of the Year award, I think 6 times in the last 7 years, or something as ridiculous as that. And this time around, Antoine Griezmann picked up that award. It also came out that perhaps the Barcelona players and members of staff were not only unhappy with the way the manager was omitted from the Best Manager award, but they also had a feeling that the Madrid clubs, the likes of Antoine Griezmann, Cristiano Ronaldo, were most likely going to pick up the award for the best player, even though personally, I think the goals that Messi scored and his performances for Barcelona picking up the league, was fantastic. Did the players have a right to also stay away, even though they felt that their player was actually better than anybody else in the league?
No. That's the short word. But first of all, it's not about the players, it's about the managers. So these players should stay away from it. They shouldn't get involved, I don't think so. I mean, Ronaldo has done very, very well this year, so is Messi. So it's up to the people who are making the decision to choose who they will call upon and who not. So Barcelona players shouldn't throw their toys out of the pram because they weren't nominated, their coach wasn't nominated for the thing. So I think they're wrong, and they should just abide by the rule and go
I think
go to the ceremony.
Yeah, but you look at Antoine Griezmann. He's had a sensational season as well.
Incredible.
And we know what we get from Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yep.
We know what to expect from Lionel Messi. And around, if you look at Messi, look at the team around him.
Suarez,
if
Neymar,
if he doesn't score, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Griezmann, literally, if you look at Atletico Madrid, you're looking at about maybe 2, 3, 4 at the most star players. And Griezmann has been a star player for that team.
Yeah.
Even for the national team, the French national team, he's done tremendously. And you look at the player himself, he's actually quite a small player.
Yeah.
But the way he controls the game, the way he gets involved in the game, the runs he makes,
And
I think
the
we
goals
need to,
he
the
scores.
goals no, so you look at him, and what he did I don't think was really expected. But he's gone on and he set the league on fire as well. So I think even for a fan, sometimes it gets a little bit tiring if it's always Ronaldo, Messi. You're always looking for somebody who challenges those people. I think it makes the sport a lot more interesting.
Well, since you decided to talk about Ronaldo, Messi, it's been released this week, the 30 names that are being considered for the Ballon d'Or award by the French magazine. Now, FIFA has dissociated themselves from the magazine nominating this Best Player of the Year award, but the names that have come out includes the likes of Ronaldo, Messi, Suarez, Neymar, but also some players coming out of the Premier League like Riyad Mahrez and Jamie Vardy. So let's talk about the players that have been selected for this exquisite award called the Ballon d'Or. 30 names includes the likes of Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, of course Thomas Muller, Pepe, Dimitri Payet, Gareth Bale. It's going to be cut down to 5 very soon. And your 5 will be?
My 5 would be Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Messi. Griezmann.
Yeah.
I would put, who else would I put who I think would actually win this? Neymar.
Yeah.
And Suarez. I think those are my 5.
Obi, your 5 would probably
well,
be?
not far from him.
Yeah.
I would say
Ronaldo.
I would say Neymar.
Yeah.
I would say Messi. I would say Bale. I would say Bale because he's done very, very well in the last few years.
Yeah.
Payet.
Wow.
Yes, I think he's a fantastic player. I value him a lot. And
that's 5. That's 5. Now let's talk about it though. Ronaldo, a lot of people have said this is Ronaldo's year to win the Ballon d'Or again for a couple of reasons. Real Madrid won the Champions League and Portugal lifted the European Championships that they hadn't done, in a long time. So Ronaldo was definitely being touted as the man that has to pick up this award, even though he struggled already this season, hasn't scored, I think he scored 4 goals in all competitions for Real Madrid. He's been looked at by Zinedine Zidane as a possibility of being dropped at the moment, and Zidane has actually, during his press conference 24 hours ago, he actually spoke about the likes of Bale, saying he might be dropping the BBC combination, which is the Bale, Benzema and Cristiano combination for the backup strikers. So if you're looking at Ronaldo's performances for Portugal and Real Madrid this year, should that award be at his door? Or?
I think if you look at his performances this year, he's I think in the last 9 games, I think he scored about 4 goals.
Yeah.
So he's not hitting the heights that he's used to hitting.
Yeah.
His game is changing. He's not making as many runs as he used to. If you look at the stats, the dribbles also going down. But I think this is actually a popularity award.
Hence why FIFA, I think, have taken a step back from it.
I think if you remember the year that the Brazilian Ronaldo won the World Best Player of the Year after lifting the World Cup, and he had been injured for most of the year domestically, but played in the 7 games for Brazil, but went and won the World Player of the Year, which sent a lot of shockwaves around the world saying, why did he win it?
Even Cannavaro didn't have a fantastic season for Juventus or in Italy, but went over to the World Cup, led the Italians to the World Cup trophy, and eventually became the #1 player in the world.
But beyond this, though we say that Ronaldo, domestically, his form is going down, Ronaldo, a bad game for Ronaldo, a bad season for Ronaldo, he's scoring, 20, 30 goals. That to us would say he's finished. if we come to Premier League, if a striker scores 20 goals, we're like,
goals,
wow,
he's on
this
top.
is one of the best strikers we have. So I think the expectation we have of Ronaldo is so heightened that sometimes we forget that the level of football that he and Messi are playing, they're playing in a world of their own.
Yeah.
After them, you'll get the Bales and the Neymars, and after them you have the other category.
All right, let me speak about a player that I think deserves to be mentioned in that category of Ronaldo and Messi. If not Sergio Aguero, definitely Luis Suarez. But his popularity, because of his behavior at Ajax, at Liverpool, at the World Cup, for some reason the big competitions, the big award organizations have taken a step back from putting Luis Suarez forward as their candidate for any top award or top gong around the world. Suarez, with his statistics, the way he plays the game, the passion he has for football, he has to be considered in the top 3, doesn't he?
No, absolutely. I think he was in my top 5.
Yes, yes.
He's a sensational player. We can't take that away from him. But as I said, a lot of these awards as well comes down to the popularity of a player, and because you also get it's also about nominations and votings, and so you get nominated by
tactical voting as well.
There's a whole bunch of things that go into play, and it's sad not to see Suarez actually being recognized more globally than he already is. But hopefully things will change.
Now let's talk about
I also want to point out, I think he's a fantastic player. I was gutted when Arsene Wenger had the opportunity to buy him as an Arsenal fan, and he didn't buy him. So I think he should be mentioned. He's one of the. In fact, he makes nothing. It's something out of nothing. You never know what he will do the next minute.
Every ball.
Absolutely. He lost course, he chases it to the end. So he should be there. But as he said, if he's not popular enough, they're not going to mention you in the thing.
Now
just to add on that, if you look since 2007, only 2 players have picked up the award, and it's been
Ronaldo
and Messi.
But let's talk about the Premier League's representatives in this year's Ballon d'Or nominations. Riyad Mahrez, the PFA Player of the Year. Jamie Vardy, who has been incredibly quiet all season. What are your thoughts on Riyad Mahrez? Last year, people were saying he was definitely going to sign for Barcelona after the performances he put together. And if you look at the performances in the Champions League so far this season, it's very difficult to argue against that. Should he be in the top 5?
Well, just to mention, you also have the Dimitri Payet, Hugo Lloris there, the Premiership
representatives.
Mahrez, I would say, I don't think he deserves to be in the top 5, personally. Yes, he had a good season, but if you compare him to the other guys, I think he's still lagging a little bit behind the other players that are there. But also, I mentioned that he should have been signed by the big clubs, so I think had he left, that would have been damaging to his career. He came to Premier League, had a good season, and we need to see that being replicated, because you see a lot of players moving teams very quickly, and you find them being on benches of other clubs or so. So we need to see what Mahrez did by staying at Leicester was a good way to learn a bit more football, understand the leagues a bit more in a competitive league, then move after that.
Would you say that about Jamie Vardy resisting the chance to play for Arsene Wenger? At £20 million, it looks like Arsene Wenger will be laughing now.
I think he made a mistake not to come to Arsenal. A big mistake. So
I disagree with that.
I think he made a mistake. Arsenal is a big club. He would have learned more, and he would go more higher if he has come. But I think he did well, very, very well last year. He was the one man that scored goals that made him. Nobody thought that Leicester would win the league by that margin. So he scored a lot of goals. Yes. And the team he was Leicester last year was a small team compared to the big one, but they won the league. So I think he was the pivotal man. Yeah. So I think he can. He's there.
His performances in the last 12 months.
I would go with Dimitri Payet as being the best performer out of all these players. A player I think really deserved to be on that list. But to disagree with him about Jamie Vardy, Arsenal at this point need a striker who's about 25 years old, a striker who is guaranteed to give you 30 goals a season. Jamie Vardy, if we look at what he did for Leicester last season, yes, he had a good time, but will he replicate that this season? He's only got 2 goals so far.
But with the players around him at Arsenal, I mean, he wasn't getting, in Arsenal he will get more of a feed, like you get good players around him that will feed him. He wouldn't have to do much to score goals. But in Leicester last year, he has to score.
He had to fight to score goals.
To score goals.
Speaking to at Arsenal fans and commentators over the last couple of years since we've been doing this, Arsenal fans have never been happy with their striker since Thierry Henry left.
Yes, yes.
But the funniest thing is, you've always had strikers that score goals. Even Giroud scored goals.
Yeah, but because we haven't had one as good as Henry.
You will never get one as good as Henry.
Well, that's why we won't be happy until we get it.
Because that's the thing. Like Arsenal fans and commentators always bang on and on about not having a striker that's capable of scoring 30 goals, 40 goals, whatever it is. But if you look at Arsenal over the last 3 or 4 years, even though they haven't had a striker that's really heads and shoulders above the rest, you've had strikers that have put in 20, 25 goals a season. And with that, come on.
We've had good strikers over the years, but none of these strikers are strikers you'd say should be top 4 team strikers. You know, Giroud had a great game today, scoring his 2 goals. But do I think Giroud is a first choice player for a team of Arsenal's caliber? No. I would prefer to see a Karim Benzema, Suarez playing for an Arsenal.
We'd all love to see Karim Benzema and Luis Suarez playing for our clubs. Unfortunately,
Aubameyang should come to Arsenal. That's it. Done. We'll be
but
happy.
the funny thing is, speaking about Aubameyang, the funny thing is, he has been there since Saint-Étienne before he went into the German league and ripped the scoring charts apart. Would he be able to do it at the Premier League? The Premier League is a completely different ball game, you know, and I think our expectations are very high for various reasons. One, we spend a lot more on players than anybody else does, so the fans immediately expect miracles. Second of all, the players that haven't played in the Premier League before find it very difficult to bet in because of if you go and play Burnley on a bad day like Manchester United did today, you find it difficult to score. They had 20 chances, but they couldn't take one. And that, if you're playing in Germany, Italy or Spain or Barcelona with 20 chances, would have put away 7 or 8 goals, not because they've got top quality players alone, but because of the level of the opposition. It's always easier for the big teams to walk the mid-table, lower teams.
You can see one of the challenges that European football has. You look at Spain, for instance. The rights and TV rights given to the clubs are very different. The big clubs earn a lot more money. So even look at when they're attracting players, they're able to pay more wages and attract the best players. The lower clubs fail to do that. Whilst in the Premier League, it's a lot more competitive. So even the smaller clubs are still able to attract decent players. So, and if you go to the Italian league, so if you go to the Spanish league, the German league, you have your big 3 teams that, you know, give or take, will win the league. And you already know when they're playing a game, it's Real Madrid versus Granada, that's Madrid winning. In the Premier League, you don't have that.
Never.
In the Premier League, you will get, as today, Sunderland versus Arsenal. I know Arsenal won the game, but anything could happen. You'd even find Sunderland thrashing Arsenal one day.
On a cold Wednesday at Stoke, anything can happen. Speaking about anything happening, we had our man Ife at the Crystal Palace-Liverpool game. He caught a few words with some of the fans. Let's take a listen.
So, how do you think the team has been performing lately in terms of form?
I think we started poor at the beginning of the season and picked up a little bit, but you know, it's different every day. The performance.
Okay, so who do you think is going to win today? Knowing that Liverpool has got 20 points so far, I think they're probably on the top 3, and Crystal Palace is 11. Even though it's a late kickoff, do you think that Palace can creep up the table a bit and win?
I think so, because it's always tough to come to Selhurst Park, try and get a result. If the fans get behind the team for 90 minutes, anything can happen, really, can't it?
In a way, I think Palace has been the bogey team for Liverpool. I mean, you've got a very good record against Liverpool, so I think that should increase your chances.
I know any game's 50-50 with Palace. If we turn up on the day, we can beat anyone, really.
All right, thank you.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
There you go. Okay.
Yes, that's a Crystal Palace fan that I would have expected to show more confidence with the record that Crystal Palace has had against Liverpool in the last 12 months. But he seemed to be in a very cool mood, not trying to give anything away. But I know secretly he'll be thinking, we hope we give it to them, especially having signed one of their strikers in Christian Benteke at the moment. Let's hear what the Liverpool fan has to say about the game.
Now, who do you think is going to win the game today? Knowing that Liverpool has always have this ground as a broken ground.
Liverpool. Yeah.
Okay. How do you think that Mane will play today?
He'll score. He'll score. Yeah, he'll score.
You're very, very confident.
Yeah. Win 3-1. Benteke will score as well.
I was just about to say Benteke. What about?
Score. 3-1.
3-1.
Benteke will score.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. It's a 3-1 to Liverpool. Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.
Guess what? 3-1 definitely is far away from the results that we're receiving from Liverpool against, or Crystal Palace against Liverpool at the moment. It's actually 2-2 with both teams scoring 2 goals and none of the strikers have scored a goal yet. What do you attribute to Crystal Palace's performance against Liverpool? Is it psychological?
Well, personally, I'd like to see Liverpool win. I don't know, as an Arsenal fan, I shouldn't be saying that. But I think Crystal Palace, right now, I think there's a lot of pressure on them. This is a big game for them. Liverpool have been playing really well. So I think there's that pressure will mount onto them. And for Liverpool, if Coutinho will perform, I can see them winning this game. I know it's 2-2 so far, but I think this is far from done. I think it's still the first half.
I think one of the funny things is Liverpool have some players that are incredible, the likes of Coutinho, like you mentioned. If he continues to perform the way he's performing at this moment, it looks like he will be joining the bigger clubs within the next 12 months. Because Coutinho is another Brazilian football player that's got so much talent, and every single game that Liverpool finds very difficult, he seems to be the one that does something, if not a pass or an incredible shot outside of the box or something to lift them out of that. How hard is it going to be to keep hold of Coutinho going forward for the likes of Klopp?
I think for Coutinho, in my opinion, he's made a name for himself at Liverpool. He's one of their star players. If Liverpool continue in the way they're playing, they're major contenders to win the Premier League. This will be the first time they'll win it since the Premier League started.
That's so
as your former Manchester United manager said, Alex Ferguson, Liverpool have a very strong squad. If they do that, then they can hold on to these players, because these players want to win trophies. And beyond winning the trophies, Liverpool have a very great record in the Champions League. So this is something as well. Overall, they have a great history. So I think if they can continue winning, they'll keep hold of these top players.
Every single thing you say completely hits me in a different. Like, Liverpool have a great record in the Champions League. They're in a fantastic position to win the league. It's very painful for me to hear that. But let me go to Obi. Crystal Palace. It's 2-2, Liverpool against Crystal Palace at the moment. Crystal Palace seem to have something when it comes to playing Liverpool that a lot of the teams in recent times don't have. Is it Alan Pardew's style of management, or is it just that the fans and the belief at Selhurst Park is that we can scupper their chances and really take it to the Liverpool players?
Well, the Selhurst Park is a fantastic ground. The fans are very passionate.
Yeah.
And anybody who comes to Palace would have his work cut out. You have to be on your game. But having said that, Liverpool is playing well this year. They have a very attacking football. They score a lot of goals.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of goals in this game. The 4 goals already, and I think there's more to come. So I think, for me, I think Palace might nick it. Yes, I think so. The way Liverpool is playing is very well, but Palace is also wounded now, so they want to achieve something. So I think they might enter too.
I like the words coming out of Obi's mouth that Crystal Palace might be able to nick it against Liverpool. As a Manchester United fan, those are the kind of statements I enjoy and appreciate in the studios here at ABC Sports on Ben Television. Not those coming from James, having won 4-1 today against Sunderland. and Arsenal flying high in the league. We're not happy about that, James. Thank you very much, Obi, for coming into the studio to balance it up, because I like conversations like that. Liverpool, Crystal Palace, or Crystal Palace, Liverpool, 2-2 at the moment. More goals predicted by Obi in this match. We've got our man Ife on the grounds there that will be fitting us in what happens out there. It's time for us to take a final break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the NBA as the season has finally kicked off across the pond in America. See you in a few.
We now have to